When the controlling parties of an industry reward specific results and outcomes, all those who wish to seek funding will be more than willing to produce them, purposefully dismissing and throwing out that which does not fit with these goals or indeed paradigms. With our ancient past being of no exception. To claim that the ancient megalithic sites found worldwide, many with blocks weighing several hundreds of tons, each effortlessly lifted aloft and placed upon each other with perfect accuracy, to conclude that the masses of polygonal masonry, much made without mortar, perched upon precarious cliff tops, or gigantic fortresses perfectly slotted together, with blocks weighing upwards of 400 tons, were all built by differing groups and tribes, at differing times within history, with some even dated to before the known Iron Age, is we feel not only sheer ignorance, but possibly an indication of complicity in a conspiracy. It should be clear to all by now that anyone with any form of in-depth knowledge within antiquities and indeed familiar with the details of these mammoth feats, who continues to toe the party line as it were that yes, Baalbek was built by Romans, or that the Great Pyramids, including the Sphinx regardless of erosion, or the many stages of construction and conservation, which we have now exposed and shared, were indeed built by slaves, are clearly complicit in this cover-up. It is a conspiracy for power and control over all of our past. One that is extremely profitable. Yet as the evidence is exposed to the world, not only have we been predictably targeted for termination, but the truth jeopardizes a house of cards now built up over hundreds of years via millions of books, yet all built on a faulty foundation. The historical data collected regarding these known groups indeed correct and astute, with many details revealed about these later ancestors through marvelous intellect and technique. Yet the claims of these civilizations having been responsible for these structures within an unbroken timeline of history is crumbling before your eyes. With no explanation of how they moved or cut these stones, how indeed they built the pyramids or worked out how to create polygonal masonry, all techniques and knowledge that would even in today's world be undoubtedly invaluable to utilize. We are simply expected to ignore this mystery, to not even consider these gaping holes in our knowledge and abilities. To believe, as we are told, that it all simply became lost over the ages. Regardless of these sites now inarguably connected by our work across the globe, the ability to move huge stones, to cut them with such precision, to seemingly scoop granite, to build in polygonal blockwork, to have used and utilized metal clamps, advanced metallurgy, irrigation, transport, weight-bearing knowledge, astronomical knowledge, even possible portals. This modern age narrative written by those funded to do so continues to be protected at all costs, yet our work and the realization it carries is inevitable. Although there are many within the academic world who wish to silence us, and industries which wish to censor us, we feel it is all but too late. We had successfully slipped under the radar for long enough to get the message out there. Now we will endeavor to reveal the true extent and legacy of these now lost yet once astonishing civilizations. Our first book will soon be published, which will have many of our favorite and most popular subjects, scripts, illustrations, deep dives, historical anomalies, and so much more. Keep an eye out for updates and we will keep you posted. If you believe what we share is important for people to have access to, then please continue to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for daily fresh content. It is a battle for the truth which we find extremely compelling. Grotta de Lama Lunga, near the city of Altamura within Italy, holds an astonishing secret. For untold millennia, the enigmatic remains of an ancient person has been slowly growing within these caverns. As the world, their existence, and indeed the subsequent ruins of this life have turned to dust around them, these remains were encapsulated, nestled among a chain of growing calcite crystals. Known as the Altamura Man, it is thought that far back within Earth's distant history, Altamura Man fell through a crevasse, unfortunately landing on stalactites, impaling him to this day among growing calcite. Discovered in 1993 by a team of speleologists, intriguingly, just like ancient remains we recently shared upon our community page, remains which conveniently and subsequently vanished, Altamura man's remains are embedded in rock strata, indicating to us, and many others, an enormous age. However, fortunately, the Altamura man has gradually been absorbed into the surrounding geology, meaning that no matter how controversial, they cannot be removed easily. Thus, during the last 20 years of study, most investigation has merely been observational. And although academically funded DNA results have indicated an age of around 180,000 years, with this age predictably astounding the many conditioned and limited minds throughout modern academia, we feel he may be far older. The rock strata in which he is embedded is one method of indication, which could be used to define a true age. Additionally, the consistent rate at which stalactites grow, or indeed the calcite around him, could also have been used over the last 20 years to give an accurate dating. However, DNA evaluation has been the only publicly disclosed dating done. Altamura man is the most complete, possibly pre-Paleolithic skeleton ever to be discovered. Not only is he complete, he has grown. How old is the Altamura man? The find desperately needs self-funded, capable individuals to demonstrate via the consistent growth found at the site its true age. We will, of course, keep you posted. We recently came across a most curious artifact, one which has been claimed as having once been found, just like a handful of other exquisite objects we have previously shared, within a lump of ancient coal. It is a once smelted, solid iron recreation of a face whose owner could have lived an unimaginably long time ago. With the claim written by John D. Morris, Ph.D., quote, I was recently contacted by an older lady who grew up in the coal mining area of Appalachia. Her ancestors having lived in the area for generations, her now deceased father was a miner who had once made a remarkable discovery embedded within a coal seam, a human face made from cast iron. Like most people, they had been taught that coal is far too old to contain any human artifacts. The miner was so proud and perplexed by his find, it eventually became a family heirloom and was simply named Man. As a large, heavy object, it was eventually used as an ornament, decades later becoming stored among his belongings. She distinctly remembers her father's story of its discovery and the care he had taken with this prized object, having recently rediscovered it among her father's possessions. End quote. The owner of this artifact has requested to remain anonymous and to withhold her identity. This makes the story even more appealing to us, as throughout our time researching these types of claims, and indeed artifact, we find that those who are pushing the supposed discovery, publicizing themselves while touring an object, are often in a search for a profit and recognition. Thus, as she is seemingly fearful of the artifact's disappearance, it would seem her story would align more with someone who possesses an item, not only of an extraordinary, incredibly controversial age, but also has a sentimental value, one which outweighs any idea of selling the item, or even risking losing it from exposing its location. How old is the so-called man? Who could have made it, pouring cast iron into a mold, resulting in an exact duplicate of the man's face in the form of a three-dimensional mask? Could we be peering at the face of an ancestor once of incredible importance, one from a lost civilization, a lost time within our planet's history? We find such possibilities incredibly intriguing. We have in the past covered the astonishing ancient high technology still present within the gas-filled lens of Nineveh. Along with this proof of an ancient civilization's knowledge of glass-blowing and convex lens-making, there is seemingly many more examples that have quietly been found, studied, and pushed into the archives of museums worldwide. In particular, those found within the ancient sites upon Crete. Although many a sleuth has discovered this fact and have subsequently investigated these claims and indeed proofs of an ancient civilization's astute awareness and past ability at creating these perplexing reading lenses of a surprisingly high quality. The first exposure of this truth came from a most unlikely of sources, that being the July issue of the British Journal of Physiological Optics in 1930, which contained a communication from a Mr. H.L. Taylor in, quote, The Origin and Development of Lenses in Ancient Times, which ascribes the development of the lenses to the Cretans of 1800 BC. His examination of the museums of the Eastern Mediterranean has led him to the conclusion that ivory and steatite, the materials used for beads prior to 2000 BC, later replaced with rock crystals, onyx, agate, and cornelian. The discovery of the magnification produced by a bead of rock crystal, he believes, led to the production of lens-shaped beads, and eventually of lenses, such as those of the Royal Gaming Board, found in the palace at Knossos, the best of which now rest within the archives of the Museum Candia within Crete. Their magnification ability has been recorded at between 5 and 8 diopters and are plano-convex in shape. These quality lenses were then transported out of the area to the mainland, including Troy, Tyre, Nineveh, and the United Kingdom, end quote. However, any explanation as to how these ancient artifacts were indeed created remains unknown, or indeed untold. The closest anyone dare tread is claiming they are of natural rock crystal origins and developed accidentally. Regardless, their existence is undeniably highly compelling. There are a number of artifacts found at varying parts of the world, which, due to the immense age of the strata they were discovered within, fly in the face of current paradigms in regards to the chronology of man. Iron pots, zinc vases, even imprints of ancient chariot wheels, found in numerous coal seams, and found by people in positions of responsibility, whom often testify not only in regards to their legitimacy, but are often accompanied by the lump of coal in which they were found, still possessing the intriguing imprint upon their surface, undeniably supporting the testimonies of these individuals, all but proving authenticity beyond doubt. Like that of the iron pot and its accompanying coal block, which was its tomb, carbon dating has indicated that the pot is an astonishing 300 million years old. However, as time goes on and coal mining, along with many other mining activities, becomes more rapid and advanced in nature, it is simply a matter of time before even more mysterious and unexplainable artifacts are also found. Unfortunately, due to the controversial nature of these artifacts, it is very likely that a number of them have either been shrugged off or actively destroyed before ever achieving widespread acclaim. However, fortunately, the next artifact of interest, just like that of the many others we have previously covered, can not only be seen as yet another smoking gun, indicating that there has been a number of advanced phases within human civilization, but yet again, this timeline could, in all possibility, date back an astonishing 300 million years. Although modern society has been taught that we are at the height of human accomplishments, many of these techniques we currently claim as our own accomplishments could have been achieved an unimaginably long time ago, far back within Earth's history. Dated to the same age as that of a number of other artifacts, which we have covered in the past, a group of brass doorknobs were once abandoned, eventually finding their way into a coal seam, which has been dated as 300 million year old geology. Found still encased within this ancient strata, these astonishing artifacts are undeniably of an incredible age. Unfortunately, and rather predictably, not much has been done in regard to mainstream investigation into said artifacts, and their current location, if indeed still in existence, is unclear. Yet fortunately, before their disappearance, photographic evidence was taken, subsequently allowing us to add it to the volume of research and artifacts which not only support our posit of lost civilization, but place human activities an impressive 300 million years back into Earth's history. Who made these brass doorknobs? Could we really be a civilization hundreds of millions of years old? We find the evidence to suggest such highly compelling. We often encounter a variety of techniques used by individuals and academic bodies who are attempting to stem the flow of true historical knowledge. Indeed, many of the most controversial and compelling artifacts are often stolen, conveniently lost, or simply sold on by their original discoverer, never to be seen again. However, sometimes these artifacts successfully make it into the public domain, photographed and studied by reliable figures before these vanishing acts can occur. And our next artifact is no exception. Predictably, the tactic that is seemingly chosen for these particular smoking guns is for the academic and scientific worlds to simply ignore such objects as if they do not exist. Or, as with this particular UPART, to dismiss it, to look away, and claim it is simply impossible. Known as the Nampa doll, it is a small figurine confirmed beyond doubt as having once been crafted by the hands of man. It was discovered in 1889 by a group of workers who were searching for water near the town of Nampa in southwestern Idaho. They were attempting to create a well, drilling a borehole down to a depth of 295 feet, at which point they began to bring up strange cuts of clay. Amongst them was a unique projectile, a tiny clay figure in the shape of a woman. Professor Albert A. Wright of Oberlin College officiated the figure's authenticity in 1979, making academia's attempts to vanish the out-of-place figure near impossible. Quote, "It was not the product of a small child or amateur, but was made by a true artist. Though badly battered by time, the doll's appearance is still distinct. It has a bulbous head, with barely discernible mouth and eyes, broad shoulders, short thick arms, and long legs. There are also faint geometric markings on the figure, which represent either clothing patterns or jewelry. They are found mostly on the chest or around the neck, arms, and wrists. The doll is the image of a person of a high civilization, artistically attired. We find his conclusion of it being of a person of high civilization as the most compelling, further supporting our belief that the doll is a leftover remnant of a now lost civilization. And due to academia's dismissive attitude towards the stonework, it is lost as a result of their conspiratorial ignorance. Furthermore, and an additionally intriguing reality, is the dating of the artifact. The geological strata it was discovered amongst is known as the Glens Ferry Formation, that, according to the same entities that deny the artifact's existence, was created approximately 2 million years ago during the Pliocene-Pleistocene transition. Additionally, before the mass cover-up of artifacts, research, and indeed evidence from the public domain, George Frederick Wright, a geologist from the Boston Society of Natural History, also confirmed this astonishing object's authenticity. Quote, "There is no ground to question the fact that this image came up in the sand pump from the depth reported. In visiting the locality in 1890, I took special pains while on the ground to compare the discoloration of the oxide upon the image with that upon the clay balls still found among the debris, and ascertained it to be as nearly identical as it is possible to be. these confirmation evidences in connection with the very satisfactory character of the evidence furnished by the parties who made the discovery, confirmed by Mr. G.M. Gumming of Boston, who was the superintendent of that division, and who knew all the parties, placed the genuineness of the discovery, in my mind, beyond reasonable doubt." End quote. How could a figurine, dated at 2 million years old, identified as having come from a technologically advanced civilization, exist, authenticated by a number of official and highly trained individuals, if indeed there has never been another technologically advanced civilization to have flourished here upon our planet? We find the fact that academia is simply attempting to dismiss its existence, proof of their concealment of this truth, making the Nampa figurine undoubtedly highly compelling.